svého kvalifikačního tréninku, kde budou bojovat o postavení.
Hello everybody, good afternoon. Welcome back to Europe. We're at Loket. It's round 14 of the FIM Motocross World Championship, the MXGP of Czech Republic. And of course, we're back. We've had our 2-week stint abroad in Asia, Indonesia, 2 GPs there. We've had a weekend off. And we've got a fantastic show lined up for you today, as always. We've got Mr. Anthony Rodriguez in here today. We've got Alessandro Lupino and Tim Mateus, team manager from Standing Construct KTM. But before we go anywhere, Lisa Leyland.
Yeah.
It's round 14.
It's coming home.
7. Cheeky. 7 rounds to go.
Yeah.
Kind of feel like we're way past the halfway stage and we're really entering the home stretch now.
After the doubleheader in Indonesia, I thought, yeah, this stage, it does feel like it's coming towards the end, which is quite scary. But it's nice to be back in Europe. Old school, typical track. Yeah, it's nice.
Cool.
Yeah, it's nice to be back.
Well, look, let's crack on with the show.
Yeah.
Our first guest from Khmer Yamaha official MX2 is here, Anthony Rodriguez. Good to see you. Second time on the show. We had you last year as well, so he's not nervous anymore. And he's learned a bit more English since then as well.
Yeah, it's more fluent now.
Yeah. Welcome. You joined us after 7 rounds, so round 8, standing in for Sever Brilikov. But in terms of where you are in the championship, 19th in points, I think. Are you happy with where you're at, with the way things are going?
Yeah, I'm quite happy with my development for sure. We all knew that this was going to be new for me again. I haven't actually rode motocross since Portugal last year. So you can't compare it to Supercross. It's a completely different sport. Cardio-wise, it's a completely different format. And I think I've done quite good. Of course, it can always be better. And then I'm learning the tracks, especially this one is quite new for me. The traction is a lot different than the things you see in America. Yeah. I'm kind of having some memories from when I grew up in Venezuela when I was 7 years old, and all the way up to when I was 14 that I grew up in Venezuela. The tracks were kind of like this. Yeah. This dirt, but completely flat.
Okay. Well, look, it seems, and you know, quite rightly, it seems like it's taken you a few GPs to get settled in. But what's been the biggest sort of change that you've had to adapt to? Is it a new bike because you're new to Yamaha? Is it the team? Is it riding sand? New country, living in Belgium? Yeah. Or a bit of everything?
It's a little bit of the complete package, you know. I've rode Yamahas in the past, and I like them a lot. It feels like home for me. The team is being very welcoming, so they've made it a lot easier for me. When I moved to America, I was 14, and ever since I lived in a motorhome. So having an apartment in Belgium is actually making my living status a little bit better. So that's good. But yeah, I mean, even the fact of just getting on a complete new bike in motocross, it was a little bit hard for me because Supercross, you're not going as fast as you are in motocross. You have turns here that you're going 4th gear wide open, when in Supercross you're doing the turns in 2nd gear just barely in the throttle. So it's a completely different sport almost. So that's been the most difficult part into it, just getting back into motocross. And I think that's why my improvement have been so fast, is just because it's been there, it just hasn't been used. And now I'm getting the memories of motocross again, and yeah, I'm quite happy with it.
Good.
And of course, you have managed to score points in every race you've ridden so far. Your best result was last weekend in Samarang. We've just got it here. Race 1, you were 4th. How rewarding was that?
It was really something else for me, because not just because of the positioning in 4th, I would have been happy with the way I raced even if I finished 8th. Yeah. Because that race, it wasn't so much about the result that I got, it was how hard I fought the whole race. Yeah. It was really difficult to make passes on some of the people. I never gave up. I ate a lot of dirt, and that was the most rewarding part for me, is just how much of a battle I put in the race.
And what was it about that track that just got you all fired up? What was it that clicked, do you think?
I think it was a package of a few things. It was a new track for everybody, so that made it a little bit more even in the field. I should have made that pass.
But, but a couple of laps later, you made the pass.
Yeah, I respected him in that turn. But anyways, it was a complete package, just going there with a good attitude, feeling more comfortable on the bike. And yeah, a lot of people said it was like an American track. Not really, just had big jumps, but that was it. Other than that, the dirt was completely new for me. But I really enjoyed it, except for the first few laps when it was literally slippery with the water. But yeah, it's just not so much the track. I just think the time that I've spent on the bike has helped me to get to a little bit of the next level.
But race 2 wasn't too shabby either. You made a fantastic start, but then you just seemed to drop back quite quickly in the early stages. A little bit of fatigue, maybe. Did you exert yourself more than you expected in the first race? Because as you just said, you know, the way you rode, the way you pushed all the way to the end, you fought for every position, every point.
Yeah, it's part of it is the different training that I've done in the past because of Supercross. I mean, you can imagine the main events are only 15 minutes plus 1 lap. Over here, you got 30 minutes plus 2 laps. So my heart rate, even when I started training over here, was so high because it was such a high-intensity sport when it comes to Supercross that my heart rate would be like 30 beats higher than Ben Watson when we were going the same speed on the bicycle. So that's taking a little bit of training for me to change it to where I can lower my heart rate at the same intensity. And that's what happened in the second moto. I went out there and I really wanted to push. And then once I was in the track, I was like, okay, my body's not where it needs to be. It just didn't have that fire. And mentally, I pushed just as hard. But physically, I just couldn't do the same that I did in the first moto. So hopefully that will come with the time as well.
Good.
And, of course, it's not just in the hard pack where you have performed well recently. You won a race at the Dutch Championship last week in the sand. So I guess all that sand training is starting to pay off for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that it's completely new for me also makes it really fun because you have these super rough sand areas where you're just trying to jump and figure out new things. So that makes it super fun for me. And, yeah, it was the first race I've won since 2014. Yeah. Wow. So that felt really good. I came with the second overall, but, yeah, when I went into the lead, I didn't know who was behind me, if there was somebody coming fast. So I just pushed every single lap, and I couldn't see the pit board. Okay. So I actually ended up getting a good gap between me and Calvin in second place. But I pushed all the way to this checker flag thinking there was somebody coming. Yeah. And then when I finished, I'm like, oh, man, I actually had a gap. So that was really rewarding for myself.
Yeah, good. Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, after Semarang, after you got your best result, do you think you've perhaps reset your sights on a possible podium now before the year's out?
For sure. I mean, we all know I'm 23 years old, so I can't do the MX2 class. So it would be an amazing thing for me to do something like that before I move up. But, yeah, I went to training with Jackie quite hard and really good. And, yeah, one of the things little happened. I had a little tiny crash, and I've injured my wrist just a little bit, but it's enough to bother me here. I'm trying to not even mention it. For the last 3 days, I acted like it didn't even happen.
I never heard that.
Heard what?
Nothing. Just interference
white noise,
on the headlight. Yeah, sorry.
Noise.
Doesn't have a problem, folks. He has
no
problem.
Happened. No. Yeah.
Okay, well, Anthony, we do have a question on social media for you. This one's from MX Justin, who, may I add, is actually from Argentina. And he says, do you realize you're about to become the best South American ranked in 125 and MX2 since 1985? You also became the top South American racer with a 6th overall and the 4th in a single race. So that's a huge milestone for all of us. Congratulations, A-Rod.
Is that a big deal for you?
Yeah. A little
representing the whole of South America here.
For sure. When it comes to motocross, all of South America becomes one. It's not like only Venezuela supporting me. It's everybody from Colombia, Ecuador. Just all of South America gives me a lot of support, and I really appreciate that. And I actually read that comment when I saw it on Instagram, and I was quite taken back by it because I know there has been guys like Pedro Gonzalez, Ernesto Fonseca, who have done really good in AMA. But I've always had the question, has anybody from South America in the past come to the GPs? And I really didn't know. So when I read that, I was like, that's quite cool that I'm breaking some barriers.
I think Rodney Smith was racing 250s, probably 87, something like that. He got a Rinaldi ride off the back of it. I think he won a race, and I think he finished 3rd in the World Championship one year, but that was 250. So, you know, keep flying the flag.
Yeah,
just real quick, we are out of time, but real quick. Motocross Nations, Budds Creek, end of the year. Will Venezuela send a team? I know you came close to qualifying as a nation in France a couple of years ago, but it's a little bit closer to home. Will you be there?
We're trying really hard to make it happen. Yeah. Obviously, there's not a lot of help from whether you call it the federation or whatever you want to call it. So a lot of the expenses will have to be paid by us, the riders. Yeah. And I'm not quite sure how it can be done, but we're trying with our heart to do it because it's a lot of pride when you do that, and you want to represent the country. And Lorenzo Locurcio is doing good in America as well, so I think that we have a pretty good chance of qualifying. So, yeah, we're trying everything we can to make it possible.
Well, hopefully we see you there as well. And obviously, all the best for the final few rounds of the championship.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere at the moment. Before we meet our next guest, though, Alessandro Lupino, let's catch up with some of the highlights from MX2 Race 2 from Semarang 2 weekends ago, our last round. After his victory in race 1, Paul Jonas was looking to make it a double victory. But then he fell going into the first turn, handing the advantage back to his teammate, Prado, taking his 15th foxhole shot of the season. He was closely followed by Verlandren and Thomas Kjær Olsen and Thomas Covington. Jonas picked himself up, wiped himself down, rejoined the race.
as his teammate started to pull clear. Vlanderen was second, Covington was third. The two Yamahas of Rodriguez and Watson were well placed as well, as they battled out with the 19 of Thomas Kjær Olsen, who split the two Yamahas momentarily. Watson got himself into fourth, and he took with him the 19 of Thomas Kjær Olsen, as Covington on his Rockstar Energy Husqvarna found a way past the Team HRC rider of Vlanderen to go second. Chervelin was having a fight from outside the top 10. He was in the battle with Jonas. Jonas, though, was charging his way through the field. Found his way past the 98 of Bas Varsen, and then eventually the 127 of Rodriguez at the bottom of the hill to go sixth. And that's as good as it got for Jonas, who was putting in a championship ride to salvage as many points as possible in the title race. In the latter stages of the race, Vlanderen got second wind, found himself on the rear wheel of Covington. The American gave it all he had, and with just over 2 laps to go, Vlanderen was through into second, and that would be a crucial move, as it would get him on the final step of the podium when the checkered flag fell. Prado, though, was dancing to his own tune. The young Spaniard was well clear of the field, and the Red Bull KTM rider headed towards the finish line to pick up his 8th race win of the year. Vlanderen was second. Covington, Thomas Kjær Olsen and Ben Watson rounded out the top 5, and the overall belonged to Prado for the 6th time this year, ahead of his teammate, and Vlanderen with his 4th podium, but it's all square at the top of the MX2 standings. Jonas, though, has it because he has more race wins than his teammate. Back-to-back podiums then for Calvin Vlanderen, but this guy still leads as he heads to Loket.
Welcome back to our studio show here on MXGPTV.com. Of course, we're live. It's Saturday. We're in Loket, the Czech Republic. And our next guest is with us, Alessandro Lupino from Gebben van Venrooy Kawasaki. Welcome to our studio show.
Thank you.
13th in points at the moment. How would you describe your season so far?
I have to be honest, I'm happy because especially the last races, we are more competitive. We struggled a little bit in the beginning because I had a small crash in Riola, the first international races.
Yeah.
And so then it's getting better, but now we are fighting with the factory bikes. And now it's really important because from a private team to be competitive with them, we have to work really hard, and the team does. So we are there, we are fighting. That's now I start to enjoy racing every time.
Good. You mentioned your pre-season injury. Did that have an impact on your winter training? Because you moved from Massimo to Kawasaki. So many things to get used to, new bike. Is there much difference between the Honda and the Kawasaki in terms of how it feels and the amount of work you had to do?
Yeah, for sure. We are professional riders, but every rider likes more one bike or another one. And I had a good feeling with Kawasaki already in the past when I was with CLS, and now I'm back on the green machine and still have a good feeling. So we work hard in the winter already from November in Holland. We stay a while in Holland and Belgium. We train in the sand, and then we went to Sardinia. Now the winter is so important to make a good season because there is a lot of races, and you cannot push to the limit during the week because you have a race every weekend. So the winter you have to work hard and push really much.
Yeah, and you did mention it earlier, but just despite your problems at the beginning of the season, things since Russia really started to come together for you. You had good qualifying result in Russia and in Germany, so we could just see it here. So you must be pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, I'm rather more from the hardpack than Sandy. That's everybody knows. But even on the hardpack now is getting better, and like I told you, now I have fun to ride on the bike, and when you have fun, everything goes easier. And then with a good start, I can stay there in front. I'm not so far away from the top guys. In Indonesia, in the second races in Asia, MXGP of Asia, I went 28 seconds from the lead from the first one. So for me, it's a good.
this was a good race actually between you and Julian. He gave you a bit of a elbow, and you wanted to give it back, didn't you? Like this next jump in a minute.
Yeah.
was it good to be involved in this kind of race?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I have fun.
Yeah.
And yeah. I hear also your voice after the races.
Well, when I get a little bit up here. But yeah, also you know, good qualifying in Russia as well. Like you say, the hard pack is your thing, but it's just good in general just to see, you know, a private team, as you said, doing really, really good. We'll get more from Alessandro in just a couple of moments, though. But let's just give you a quick reminder about our fantastic offer on MXGP TV. Right, if you're loving the action in this year's World Championship, there is still time to make the most of our mid-season package on MXGP TV, where you can purchase the MXGP TV Season Pass at a reduced rate of 50% off. 50%! That's half price. That's massive. It's huge.
It is huge. You will have access to all the action from MXGP, MX2, and WMX, including every round of the EMX 125s, 250s, and 300s live and on demand, which also includes the first 13 rounds of the year so far. The package also includes the Monster Energy FIM Motocross of Nations at Redbud in October for €65. What are you waiting for? It's an absolute bargain. For more info, check out MXGP TV. And Paul's extremely excited about this offer, as you can tell. But more from Alessandro. It's no secret that you're good friends with Tony Cairoli. Do you guys get to spend much time training together throughout the season, or even in the off-season at all?
Yeah, we are a good friend already from the past when I come in 2007 in his team. And we used to train together because, you know, our job is nice for sure, but sometimes it's boring, especially if you do for many years, then hard training alone is a little bit boring. So if you are together, it's much better. And we used to ride together in the winter in Sardinia, and 1 month. So we push each other. We know each other well, so we know which parts we are more sensitive. So we help each other, and I think he's doing good, really good season, because Jeffrey is one of the faster guys in the world, and he's still there. So I would like to beat him even sometimes, Cairoli, but.
Funny you mentioned that.
But I tell you what, it was actually good to see you guys battling in the qualifying race in Ottobiano. But just tell us, how difficult was that weekend for you? Because you were about to become a dad for the first time, and I remember speaking to you. And you're like, do I go home? What do I do? How hard?
That weekend was the hardest in my life. It was unbelievable. Because I come there on Saturday morning, and then, my wife, she already have a contraction from Wednesday, so I was waiting the call every time. And then Saturday evening she break the water, so I go back in the town, and then it was 300 Ks. So I went back. I sleep by the hospital. And then Sunday morning I go back in the track, but with my mind I was not free at all.
No, of course not.
No.
Difficult.
And then but we did a good weekend. That's my jobs. That's where I have to be focused on that. So now I have a beautiful girl and beautiful wife, so I can be proud dad and do my job as better I can.
Well, look, we're almost out of time. Last Grand Prix in Samarang, you got your best ever result in MXGP, 7th overall. It looks like you're really comfortable with the team. You said, you know, you've got a good feeling, same as when you're in CLS and MX2. How is the atmosphere? Is it the kind of team that you like? Or is it a family type of atmosphere? Because it's a private, they're a bike dealership. They sell motorcycles, this team.
Like I told you, now it's difficult to be competitive with the factory bikes. We have to work every day and every time, but they follow me every time. From the beginning we change a lot the bike, and they never say no. We try to do his best, and like you said, they have a big shop in Holland, and then they see that if we go in the good direction with the engine, suspension, and ECU, then the result is coming, and now they're really happy about our job, and I'm really happy how they work on it. So I cannot say nothing of bad things with them, and I really love to work with them. It's more a friendship, and I'm proud how they are working.
Good. Well, look, Alessandro, we are out of time. I know you're 13th in points. 10th is possible, but I don't want to talk about that at this stage of the season.
Yeah.
But let's meet our final guest in just a moment. But before we do, here's some highlights from Race 2, MXGP of Asia in Samarang 2 weeks ago.
Final race of the day, MXGP Race 2. All the big guns down the inside. Jeffrey Hurlings once again denied the foxhole shot by Tony Cairoli, but it was he who ran wide on the exit, and he quickly dropped back to 5th, 6th place as his rivals sped by. Fevre was not so lucky. He got run over going down into turn 1 as he lost traction on his Yamaha. He remounted at the back and put in a spirited charge through the field, but it was DeSalle who led for Monster Energy Kawasaki. Hurlings gave chase. Eventually, by the end of the first lap, the bullet was through. Paulin was in 3rd, but he was under attack from Siwa on the Wilvo Yamaha and Geiser for Team HRC. And just like race 1, the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna rider found himself losing positions and was down to 5th in the blink of an eye. Tony Cairoli found himself in 6th, trying to find his way past the 21 of Paulin. But it would get worse for the Sicilian. He would drop down to 8th before putting in a second half charge. Fevre could only advance to 12th by the time the checkered flag fell, as DeSalle proved he was in no mood for hanging around, but not before Geiser gave him something to think about. He kept the Slovenian in check and was able to continue pushing on after Hurlings. The TM of Max Nagel was putting in a great ride, but then Paulin fell. His day went from bad to worse. He picked himself up in 11th, and that's where he would stay. Cairoli was under threat, but then on the attack as well. Nagel slipped from 6th. He eventually came home in 9th. Siwa was having a great ride, though, for Wilvo Yamaha. He was always inside the top 4. Got passed by Cairoli, though, in the final stages, but it was a win for Jeffrey Hurlings for the 19th time this year. DeSalle was 2nd, Geiser, Cairoli, and Siwa. Your podium was Hurlings, Geiser, DeSalle. Jeffrey Hurlings now, though, 24 points clear. He's doubled his advantage this weekend in Semarang. DeSalle on the podium for the first time since Russia. He was a winner there, of course, but Jeffrey Hurlings back in control at the top of MXGP as we head to round 14.
Welcome back to our live studio show, everybody, on MXGPTV.com. Our final guest is here, Tim Mateus from Standing Construct, team manager, team owner. It's been a while since we had you in here. What, Leon 2016?
Yes,
round
indeed.
3 or 4 that year?
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
So what have you been doing? You've taken a year out. What did you do in your year off? Was it fishing? Were you...
No. No, as you know, in Belgium we have Standing Construct, our construction company.
Yeah.
And, you know, the last few years we grew a lot. We grew almost 40%.
Yeah.
And then in 2016, I experienced that it became more and more difficult to combine managing Standing Construct, the construction company, with managing the team. So at the end of 2016, I decided to sell the team.
Mm-hmm.
But then, last year, 2017, when sitting at home, or better said, sitting at the company, I discovered or I experienced 2 things. And the first of it was that I needed motocross to keep motivation to work so hard, because whether it was a Monday or a Saturday or a Sunday, I was every day working from 6 in the morning till 11 in the evening. Yeah. And then, I at a certain moment I was wondering, why am I doing this? Because I didn't need to work so hard to have a decent living. But I felt responsible towards the people working in Standing Construct, for Standing Construct, or related to Standing Construct. And that's when I decided that I needed to find again something to give me motivation. And then my heart was and is motocross, is MXGP, so that was the first reason. And then the second reason, yeah, we discovered in standing construct that the publicity we made through the team, through MXGP, that we were missing some of that publicity. You know, when we have new clients, every time we check how they came to the company, and very often we heard and we hear that it's through the publicity we make in motocross. And so that was also, let's say, a reason why we decided that we had to step back into the MXGP. And thanks to Youth Stream the last years, we have a lot as a team and by the team companies who sponsor the team or who help the team or who make publicity through the team. We have a lot of marketing tools to make publicity. And like, for example, the live TV coverage in Belgium, we have 3 channels which program MXGP. And yeah, it's important, like for standing construct, to be mentioned on live television, and that for sure was also a very big reason why to come back in MXGP.
Well, just really quickly, how has it been coming back to the MXGP paddock? Not as easy as maybe you thought initially.
No. Let's say what concerns the team. When I decided last year in May to come back, I contacted all our former mechanics and our former partners, and almost all of them were really enthusiastic that we came back. So that was already good. But then, yeah, if you mean the results we have now this season, it's a difficult season. You know, we had a great winter preparation, and we started riding very soon, beginning of November, because both our riders, Kevin Strebels and Valentin Guillot, had a difficult 2017 season because of injuries. So we started to start riding very soon, beginning of November. November, December, January, everything went great. Yeah. Great winter preparation, Belgium, Holland, Spain. But then at the end of January, in less than 24 hours time, our complete winter preparation was ruined. I got a phone call on Thursday afternoon from one of the mechanics that he was sitting with Kevin in the hospital with a shoulder injury, and then later Valentin with a broken leg. So that made our season really difficult.
Well, let's talk about Kevin. Like you mentioned, it has been quite a difficult season for him so far. But in Ottobiano, we've just got a clip here. He seemed to show more signs of his old self. He took the foxhole shot. He was leading race 2 at one point, and he actually got his best result of the season. So that showed good positive sign for you. Yeah, for sure. You know, we are. What we saw of Kevin in winter, we still believe that he got the potential to do good. Yeah. He still has he's a top 5 rider. And then in Ottobiano, he took the whole shot, which was also not only towards him, but also towards the team, the crew. A very positive thing, because they work for a rider who's doing 15th place or 5th place. They work even as hard, let's say. And then during the race, he battled a few laps for first position, and then he got a really good result. So we still saw there the real Kevin Strebels, and unfortunately till now he's struggling with some small injuries. But I am very happy that over there he showed that he's not done yet, that he still has what it takes to be a good rider.
And then what about Valentin? Obviously, you got the old team back. You got the band back together, let's say. He's been on your team in the past. He's won GPs with you as well in 2015. But now he's with you back in MXGP. With the injury, it's obviously not been straightforward. But how is he feeling now? You know, were you expecting more from him from what you saw at the beginning of the season, for instance?
Yeah, the same as with Kevin. What we saw during winter preparation, he was showing amazing speed. As you know, in red sand, most of the riders are there practicing, so it's easy to compare lap times and compare how they ride. But yeah, then unfortunately he broke his leg. 5 months off of the bike. He started back 2 weeks before Metterley Basin, and till now he already had 3 top 10. So yeah, for sure Valentin has the speed, but it's not easy stepping into the races, let's say, if you were 5 months off the bike.
Yeah, I mean, was he looking sharp, though? I mean, I spoke to him in the airport, actually, on the way back from Jakarta, and the 2 Indonesian rounds for him, he'd never ridden in mud and ruts before since he'd broken his leg, so he was a little bit nervous, he said, and then obviously you know, the other one was obviously quite a high-speed track, some big jumps and things like that, and he just wanted to get through it. Yeah. But at the beginning of the season, it sounds like he was really sharp, really fast.
Yeah, he was. But like I said, 5 months off the bike, you can't wipe that away in 2 weeks. And then for sure in Indonesia, he had a lot of he had difficult. He struggled with confidence. Also later, the last few days, we discovered that his blood is not 100%, and all these things together caused that in Indonesia we didn't see the real Valentin Guillot.
Well, look, we are almost out of time. What about Glenn Koldenoff? You've signed him. You've announced recently that you signed him. Obviously, it's no big secret. But again, another person like Valentin, a guy that you're more than familiar with. He brought you, and he got his first Grand Prix victory back at Matchley Base in 2013. We have it here, fantastic battle. I mean, do you ever think about that day? Do you think, you know, what a great day it was, what a great occasion for you, private team at the time?
Yeah, sure.
And having him back now, because he's won more GP since then. He's been on the podium in MXGP.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think Glenn knows us as a team, and we know Glenn as a rider, and much is said with that. It made the decision very, very easy for him to decide to ride for our team and for us to get him back as a rider. He's one of the riders that not giving it 99%, but 100%. Yeah, see, those were the days.
Good old days.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, when you, I mean, we've had to sort of cut quite a bit away from this, but, you know, when he went behind the scenes towards the waiting area, you can see the elation on his face, you know, the post-race interview.
You know, Glenn, and it was the same with Julien Liebe, the same with Valentin Guillot, also with Alexander Tonkov, that were riders that not everyone believed in, and that even some people laughed with us when we took them as a rider. But we like riders like that, riders who are missing what we think piece of the puzzle, and we make them better. So for sure, that's a big, that's nice for us as a team.
Good. Well, look, we are out of time. But Tim, Mateus, thanks for joining us. You know, I hope for the next 7 rounds go how you want them to, and you get exactly what you want. You know, maybe more inside the top 10, closer to the top 5, certainly.
We hope.
But that's it. We're out of time here from Loket in the Czech Republic. Join us again in, 2 weeks' time, I think it is, when we go to Belgium, the MXGP of Belgium at Lommel. So thanks to all our guests, Anthony Rodriguez, Alessandro Lupino, and, of course, Tim Mateus. We'll see you again in 2 weeks' time when we'll do it all over again. Thanks for watching. See you then. Bye for now.